Hi, I'm Tina from Prep 101. In this video, I'm going to remind you of all the rules for derivatives that you need to know. We do derivatives throughout the course, so it's very important that you know all of your rules. Okay, let's get started. So the first derivative rule we're going to talk about is the derivative of a constant. So if we have d by dx of some constant k, the derivative would just be 0. So for example, if we have y equals 5, then y prime would just be 0. The second rule that we have is d by dx of x to the n. So any power of x here, x to the n, would be n out in front, x to the n minus 1. So if we have y equals x to the 5, then the derivative, y prime of x to the 5, would be 5 out in front, x to the 5 minus 1, which would be x to the 4. So our derivative is 5x to the 4. Our third derivative that we talk about is if we have d by dx of some constant k times a function. And what we do there is we put the k out in front, and then we do the derivative of the function f. So for example, if we have y equals 3x to the 5, then for our y prime, we can leave the 3 attached, and then we multiply by the derivative of x to the 5. And the derivative of x to the 5 is 5x to the 4. So our final answer is 3 times 5, which is 15x to the 4. And most people will just do that in their head once they get used to derivatives. The fourth derivative rule is if we have d by dx of f plus g or f minus g. Then what we do here is we do the d by dx of f plus d by dx of g. And if it was subtract, then we would just change this to subtraction if this was subtraction here. So if we have y equals x cubed plus x to the 5, for example, then y prime, the derivative of x cubed, would be 3x squared plus, because there's a plus here, and the derivative of x to the 5 would be 5x to the 4. If this were subtract here, then this would be a subtraction sign here over in the answer between the two. Okay, and number 5, we get into now the product rule. So the product rule is really important because a lot of people make mistakes with it. So you want to make sure that you know the rule that if you have f times g prime, the derivative of f times g, you're never going to do the derivative of f times the derivative of g. And that's where the mistake is made. So always make sure if you have two functions involving an x, then use the product rule when they're being multiplied. So we do f prime g plus g prime f. So that's read the derivative of the first, f prime, times the second, g, plus the derivative of the second, g prime, times the first, which is f. And some people write this as fg prime, and that's fine as well. So if we have y equals x cubed times x squared plus 6, then this is our f, and this is our g. And so we want to do the product rule. So we want f prime times g plus g prime times f. So we look at what is the derivative of x cubed, the derivative of the first. Well, the derivative of x cubed would be 3x squared. Then that's times the second, the g left alone. So times x squared plus 6. And then plus sign. And now we do the derivative of g, the derivative of x squared plus 6, which would be 2x, and then times the first, which is f, which is x cubed. And then we would multiply it out and simplify it, collect our like terms. So here we have 3x squared times x squared is 3x to the 4. 3x squared times 6 is 18x squared. Plus here, 2x times x cubed would be 2x to the 4. When we're multiplying with the same base, we add our exponents. So we would have like terms here, the x to the 4s. So we have 3x4 plus 2x4 would be 5x to the 4 plus our 18x squared. And that would be our final answer. So the sixth rule that we talk about is our quotient rule. So similarly, if we have f times g for our product rule, we can have f divided by g for our quotient rule. And our quotient rule is f prime g minus g prime f all over g squared. So in other words, the derivative of the top times the bottom minus the derivative of the bottom times the top all over bottom squared. So if we have x plus 2 over x cubed minus 5, that's what our y is equal to. So this is f over g. And we're doing the derivative. So we want to do the derivative of the top times the bottom minus derivative of the bottom times the top all over bottom squared. So that's what our derivative is equal to. So we do y prime, derivative of the top. The derivative of x plus 2 would just be 1 times the bottom, which is our g, x cubed minus 5, minus derivative of the bottom. The derivative of x cubed minus 5 would be 3x squared times the top, x plus 2, and all over the bottom squared. So that's our quotient rule, and we would have to simplify it. So 1 times anything, of course, is the anything. Here we have negative 3x squared times each of these terms. So make sure you distribute the negative as well. So here we've got x cubed minus 5 minus 3x squared times x would be minus 3x cubed. And negative 3x squared times 2 would be negative 6x squared, all over the bottom. So what terms could we collect here? I guess we just have a 1x cubed here and a minus 3x cubed. So y prime, if we have 1x cubed minus 3x cubed, that's negative 2x cubed. We still have minus 6x squared and minus 5, all over x cubed minus 5 squared. And that would be our answer. And our last rule that we're going to talk about is the chain rule. And of course, after this video, in the next video, we'll talk about doing derivatives involving the product rule, quotient rule, and chain rule. So for the chain rule, we have y equals f of g of x. And so the derivative, the chain rule says do f prime of g of x times, beside it, the derivative of g prime of x here. So the derivative g prime of x gets multiplied beside it. So we do f prime of g times g prime of x, and that's our chain rule. So if I give you an example here, if we have y equals 3x plus 1 to the 10, let's say, the derivative of something to the 10 out in front, bracket to 1 less, so 10 minus 1 is 9, the bracket stays the same. So we get 10 out in front times 3x plus 1 to the 9. And then by the chain rule, don't forget, multiply by the derivative of what's in the bracket. So the derivative of 3x plus 1 here would mean multiplying by 3. And so our final answer, y prime, would be 10 times 3, so 30 out in front, and 3x plus 1 to the 9. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, see more videos in this playlist. Don't forget to join the Facebook Study Hub. Use the link in the video description box. Also, I hope to see you at my prep sessions, where I'll show you lots of tricks on how to ace your exam. I'll go through every problem that you need to solve, and you'll solve them with confidence by the end of my prep sessions. Many of our prep sessions are free, so go to prep101.com now for more details and to sign up. I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.